Hi, I'm Rich Tomchuk, and this is my presentation for ICT 701 on Adaptive Structuration Theory, or AST. In this presentation, I will define what AST is, provide a brief overview of the history of AST and how the theory evolved, talk about what I think are some of the big ideas of AST, and describe a couple of current real-world examples of AST in action. Adaptive structuration theory is one of the major theories of group communication that was developed by Geraldine DeSanctis and M. Scott Poole. DeSanctis and Poole proposed AST as a framework for studying variations in organizational change that occur as advanced technologies are used. AST emphasizes the social aspects of technology and criticizes more technocentric views. According to DeSanctis and Poole, adaptive structuration theory is proposed as a viable approach for studying the role of advanced information technologies in organizational change. AST examines the change process from two vantage points: the types of structures provided by advanced technologies and the structures that emerge as people interact with these technologies. Adaptive structuration theory evolved from Anthony Giddens' structuration theory. Giddens originally defined his theory of structuration as a social theory of the creation and reproduction of social systems that is based in the analysis of both structure and agents without giving primacy to either. AST's theoretical roots on information technology and organizational change come from two competing schools of thought. The decision-making school, rooted in positivist tradition and emphasizing cognitive processes associated with systems rationalism. Technology should bring about productivity, efficiency, and satisfaction to individuals and organizations. Decision theorists tend toward an engineering view of organizational change, believing that failure to achieve desired change reflects a failure in the technology, its implementation, or its delivery to the organization. Research hypotheses are grounded in either hardline determinism, the belief that certain effects inevitably follow from the introduction of technology, or more moderate contingency views, which argue that situational factors interact with technology to cause outcomes. Decision theorists favor positivist research approaches that measure typically in quantitative terms the effects of technology manipulation on outcomes. The second school of thought is the institutional school. Institutional researchers advocate a different approach. According to Barley and Tolbert in 1988, Kling in 1980, and Perrow in 1986, all describe the technology as an opportunity for change rather than a causal agent of change. The focus of study for institutionalists is less on structures within technology and more on the social evolution of structures within human institutions. Institutionalists criticize decision theorists for technocratic assumptions that technology contains inherent powers to shape human cognition and behavior. This assumption, they contest, leads to gadgetophilia, or overemphasis on technologies, hardware and software, and an underemphasis on social practices that technologies involve. According to Orlowski, technology does not determine human behavior. Rather, people generate social constructions of technology using resources, interpretive schemes, and norms embedded in the larger institutional context. According to DeSanctis and Poole, adaptive structuration theory takes these competing models and adds a social technology perspective model to consider the mutual influence of technology and social processes. In summary, the AST model describes the interplay between advanced information technology structures, social structures, and human appropriation and communication processes to create outcomes. DeSanctis and Poole believe that developers and users of these systems hold high hopes for their potential to change organizations for the better, but actual organizational changes do not occur or occur inconsistently. A major strength of AST is that it expounds the nature of social structures within advanced information technologies and the key interaction processes that figure in their use. By capturing these processes and tracing their impacts, we can reveal the complexity of technology organization relationships. and we can obtain a better understanding of how to implement technologies, and we may also be able to develop improved designs or educational programs that promote productive adaptations. Actual behavior in the context of advanced technologies frequently differs from intended impacts, however. People adapt systems for their particular work needs, or they resist them or fail to use them at all, and there are wide variances in the patterns of computer use, and consequently their effects on decision-making and outcomes. AST is a framework for studying such variations. Adaptation of technology structures by organizational actors is a key factor in organizational change. There is a duality of structure whereby there is an interplay between the types of structures that are inherent to advanced technologies, and hence anticipated by designers and sponsors, and the structures that emerge in human action as people interact with these technologies. Such adaptation of technology structures, according to Bowman, can lead to reinvention, whereby daily use may change the perceived characteristics of a technology, and it ends up being used for something completely different than what it was originally intended. A modern-day example of technology reinvention is the video conferencing software Zoom. Zoom was originally developed to allow small businesses to meet and collaborate online with or without video. But after social distancing measures in 2020 forced schools and businesses to close, Zoom became a primary tool for schools, teachers, large businesses, and small businesses across the world to meet and collaborate, its use expanding to virtual classrooms and meeting rooms. With Zoom, people under quarantine are gathering in video conferences to form new social groups, and we often see new trends emerging from these groups. The communities that form are forming on the basis of shared interests in using these new technologies, and also in interests within the world outside of these technologies. It's clear that the use of this technology may have expanded well beyond what the original Zoom developers envisioned. A second example of technology reinvention in the real world involves my current employer and our use of the ERP software Microsoft Dynamics AX. My employer is a value-added reseller, which means we don't manufacture any of our products. We resell software and hardware from our partners to our customers. In 2009, my company made the switch from its proprietary business software to Microsoft Dynamics AX. Dynamics AX is ERP software that has primarily been designed or was originally designed for use by manufacturers. However, my company has adopted the technology and changed the technology to fit our needs as a solutions provider and a reseller. Over the years since we've implemented AX, our business needs have also, of our individual departments, have also seen us adopt the software in other ways that the software was not originally intended for. And our version of AX is so heavily modified that if you saw it and you were familiar with the out-of-the-box version, that you might not even recognize this version of AX. In conclusion, the use of ICTs involves a complex interaction between individuals, organizations, and technology. Adaptive structuration theory looks at how people interact socially with these technologies and how these interactions lead to other, sometimes unpredictable changes.